it's Amanda with Eat Pray Crunch, and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, thank you for checking out this video and consider subscribing. We talk about homeschooling, which I'm going to be talking about probably a lot more on this channel, and I kind of use it as a way to document my life on this channel. I do vlogs and I talk about food. Right now I'm talking a little about my weight loss journey, talking about parenting. I talk about neurodiverse parenting. Me and my husband are both neurodiverse. I have ADHD. Our son is autistic and twice exceptional, and so we talk a lot about that kind of thing on this channel as well. I talk about some of my chronic health issues, all sorts of things. So if that kind of thing interests you, consider subscribing and sticking around. I am going to be making a more concerted effort now to make videos after I've had like a 6-month break, because I've just been so consumed with homeschooling that I've really gotten out of the YouTube habit, and I'm just so busy all the time. But I'm like, you know what, after the kids go to bed, I've got to make an effort instead of just going straight to bed and browsing through Facebook, you know, and watching YouTube videos. I think I need to make a conscious effort to come back and make some sit-down videos. This is the first sit-down video I've done in like, who knows how long. I actually have my ring light and I am sitting down and I have a plan. That hasn't happened in a while. So anyway, and oh my gosh, you're not gonna believe what just happened. I just filmed this whole video on my other camera and I forgot to turn on the microphone. I literally filmed for like over an hour and forgot to turn on the microphone, and here I am. I had all that footage and it's gone now. So that was my bad. You can tell that I'm really rusty at this because it's been a while. I forgot to turn on my darn microphone. So I'm using my vlogging camera now to film this. Hopefully this will go well. Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully there's sound. What I wanted to talk about today was just doing a quick rundown of all of the curriculum that I am using with our kids this year. And I don't want to go into too much depth. I don't want to give too much commentary on this video, except for just a basic why, maybe why we're using that curriculum, because at least for our core curriculums, I would like to go through and do reviews of these curriculums in more detail and like do flip throughs and that kind of thing. But this is just going to be more, these are our curriculum choices and why. So let's get started. So let me first just do a quick little rundown of my kids and how old they are. First we have Alex, who is 9 now, which is crazy. And he is in 3rd grade, and he is autistic and gifted, twice exceptional. And he is the main reason we started homeschooling in the first place, because of his neurodiversity and his skills being all over the map. And we just really wanted to provide him with a more customized education, because he really didn't and still doesn't fit the mold very well. So that is why we started homeschooling. I never thought I would be a homeschooling mom, but here I am, and now that I'm doing it, I'm loving it. So I decided to do it with my other 2 as well. So there's Alex. My next one is Sophie, who is 7. My kids are growing up. I can't even believe it. I have full-blown elementary school students now. It's crazy. And she is in 1st grade. And she is also a really bright girl, but we also think that she might have ADHD going on, which would not be at all surprising given that both of her parents are neurodiverse. But it is, I'll just say it's been very, very difficult getting her a diagnosis and getting a diagnosis for girls in general is much harder than it is for boys. I mean, not always. There are some clear-cut cases, but in general, it's harder. But that has definitely affected her learning, especially in reading and math. You know, the two core subjects. She really has been struggling with that, and I really think that it is because of an ADHD kind of thing. At first I was wondering if maybe she was dyslexic, but I'm not ruling it out, but I'm not entirely convinced that that's what it is so much as it's just ADHD affecting her ability to focus and things feel overwhelming to her and that kind of thing. So that is a factor, even though she's very bright. That has been a factor in her ability to learn how to read and her ability to learn to do math. I mean, she might even have like a dyscalculia kind of thing going on. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm hoping when we get her evaluated that we will be able to tease out all of these things. So that's just a bit of a background on why we choose the curriculum that we have chosen for her. And she is also a very talented little artist. She is our little creative wonder. She is always creating something. I mean, she makes art out of everything. Whatever is within her little radius of reach, she will turn into something creative. So that is definitely one of her gifts, and she's also very insightful for her age, and so she really likes, you know, literature and learning about things, and she gets really excited about, you know, like social studies type topics and that kind of thing. So that's our Sophie. And then we have our 4.5-year-old Teo, and we really think that he's probably gifted as well. We don't know if he's twice exceptional yet. I feel like he's still a little too young. I mean, he's 4.5 and he has not gotten an autism diagnosis like Alex did by age 3. He does have some rigidity, which is a trait that Alex has as well, but he doesn't have a lot of the other autistic traits. So, you know, he might just have like a hint of it. You know, which makes sense given that Bill's side of the family actually does have a lot of very high functioning autism, and Bill as well. And so, you know, and he's an engineer, and so I think many engineers, you know, have just a hint of autism. And I think that might be the case with Teo. Might not be enough to be diagnosable, but that does affect our curriculum choices for him as well. But he's pretty advanced for his age, and we are moving on ahead with him. You know, he's 4.5. His birthday's in October, and technically he wouldn't be able to start kindergarten until not this coming fall, but the following fall. And we're basically already starting kindergarten level work with him. So we're going to try and do early kindergarten enrollment with him next year, just through our parent partnership, because we just take a couple of classes there. But that's where we're at with Teo. So that being said, let's get into the curriculum. So let's first talk about Alex. I'm going to try and be a little more succinct than I was in the first time I filmed this, because I was definitely going down a lot of rabbit trails. ADHD brain, I'm going to try to focus and keep it focused. Okay, so math. Let's talk about math for Alex. So all the way along, Alex has been very intuitive with his math. He's very good at math, and I have just used IXL, which is an online practice program that is practicing based on Common Core standards. It's like, you know, skills that are literally based on each of the Common Core standards. So I use those standards to kind of determine, okay, what does Alex need to be learning next? So we did that all the way through, you know, first grade work, you know, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and now third grade work. And that's still kind of what I'm doing now, kind of a piecemeal, make my own curriculum kind of thing. So that's what we have done up through this year. That's what we will do through the end of this year. And then we will start him on Math Mammoth, which is my math curriculum of choice that I am excited about. Now this is going to look like a lot of workbooks and everything, but really it's spread over 5 days and it's in little bite-sized chunks. So it's a lot of workbooks, but it's not quite as much work as it seems, if that makes sense. So we have him do, I found out that IXL, which is the company that does the IXL online practice program, they do make these beautiful workbooks. So we got the ultimate 3rd grade math workbook. So we're just making sure we've got all of our bases covered. And this is kind of the core text that I'm using with Alex for math this year. And that's been great. That's been going really well. It's colorful, engaging. I really like this IXL workbook. This is just a continuation of what we did last year. But in terms of learning his multiplication, times tables, we have a couple of things that we do for practice. When we're introducing a number, my mom actually does this mostly with him because she's here on the day that we do multiplication. But this is just a school zone multiplication and division. So we just use the each of these to introduce a new number. So we're going to learn, times 8, times 9, times 10. So whenever we introduce a new one, we do it in this book. And then we kind of set that aside for a few weeks and do the practice, the drilling, because like the old-fashioned drilling is what really is working for Alex. He is autistic, he likes repetition, and so that works for him. So we do this Channy's 1 page a day. And these were actually really helpful for when we were doing addition and subtraction, because the way they set it up here, I mean, you can see here, it's just very straightforward with, the columns for the place values and, little boxes to put the numbers in. And that has worked really well for Alex. And now he's doing the multiplication one. So then we are also doing this, I'm not sure what I called, I guess it's called Academic Sidekick, Multiplication and Division. I just got this on Amazon, and it's lots of fact families. So fact families are where you learn multiplication and division as inverse of each other. So like you have the answer up here, but it goes both ways. You can divide it into these two numbers or multiply those two numbers to get this number, kind of thing. And then there's just lots and lots and lots of practice. And he's doing all of it. I'm so proud of him. He has been working really hard on that. We're just about through 10s and 11s, and he'll be on to 12s, and then we're done with multiplication. Well, learning times tables. Then we'll move on to more complicated multiplication. Once he does the practice, then we do these time tests, and these are literally like the time tests you and I had when we were in public school in the 90s, kind of thing. That's what they literally look like. Like, I did tests like this when I was in school. We'll do one of these a week, and he actually enjoys trying to beat his time every time. So, and it's just kind of introducing him to the idea of taking a test. So that's what we're doing for the multiplication. In addition to those core things, there were a couple of other areas that I felt like Alex had some holes in when I was looking through those standards in IXL, and I thought, okay, I'll just get a couple of workbooks on those as well. So we got this Kumon Geometry and Measurement, and Kumon has really great workbooks as well. I've been impressed with this one. It's not super colorful or anything, but it's very straightforward, to the point. It teaches it really well. Excellent practice. That's been good in terms of geometry and measurement. Then I also actually got this as a freebie when I signed up for Math Mammoth, and so I was like, hey, great, this is something that Alex could totally learn. Even though it's like a 4th, 5th grade level, he's definitely a little more advanced with his math. So this is data and graphs. So this is the Math Mammoth curriculum that I'm planning on using for all 3 kids. But this is like a particular extra practice thing on data and crafts, and Alex is picking up on this one really well too. So that's going well. And then we are also going a little more in depth on fractions. Alex has already learned like the basics of fractions, but now we're starting to get into a little more of like reducing fractions and adding fractions and that kind of thing. So this is also one of the IXL books, and I really have been impressed by these. They're so colorful and nice. So that's fractions. And then I got this DK Workbooks Money Math, because Alex knows his money really well, but like he can add up money, like he can add coins and like recognize it and, you know, that kind of thing. But this goes more into doing like math with money, like adding things and solving word problems, and, you know, so-and-so has this much money. These are the things that are available. What can they buy? Or, you know, so-and-so started with this much money and ended with this much money. How much money did they spend, kind of thing. You know, so doing more of that like money type thinking. So that's been good for that. And then we are at advanced telling time now. He can read a clock, no problem now. So this is not like learning how to read a clock, but more thinking in terms of mathematical concepts related to time, like how much time has elapsed time to like very specific minutes and that kind of thing. So I think that this will be a good challenge, and this will probably be the last thing that we have to do on time, because I think he will have gotten it pretty well by then. So that is all of his math. Language arts. So he is taking a books class through our parent partnership this year, and reading is kind of tricky with him because he is such an intuitive, good reader. He can read really well, but he doesn't like to read, which is funny. It's like he's good at it, but he doesn't like it. Whenever he's made to read something out loud to us or read something quietly to himself, he has this emotional reaction to it, like he doesn't want to do it. Same with writing. He's having a lot of trouble with putting pen to paper. He has excellent handwriting. It's not an ability issue, but he just really has this mental block about it, which is really like the executive function portion of his ADHD and autism. So we put him in this literature class at our parent partnership, and it's been great in terms of getting him more excited about literature. It's a little advanced for him to be these are like chapter books like Shiloh and that kind of thing. It's a little advanced for him to be reading on his own yet, but he loves having them read aloud to him, and he gets really into the stories, and he's really good at like the comprehension and analyzing and that kind of thing. So that's been, you know, a win in that it's getting him excited about literature. But a lot of the writing homework that comes with it is a lot more difficult for him. So we're doing a lot of dictation where he dictates to us his writing and that kind of thing. But we're thinking next year we might just entirely do language arts at home. And I am kind of looking ahead. I am really thinking that I want to use Lightning Literature, which is a full language arts program that is literature based and covers grammar and that kind of thing as well. But for this year, in addition to the class he's taking, I am doing the Good and the Beautiful level 1 with him. And level 1, the levels are not lined up with grade levels in the Good and the Beautiful, but this is more like second grade level, even though it's level 1. So like I said, because his reading has been so intuitive, he has missed a lot of picking up a lot of phonics and grammar and spelling rules that we'd never explicitly taught, because he had just picked up reading so easily, if that makes sense. So there are some gaps in those things. So what we decided to do was to just go back one grade level just to fill in gaps. So that's what this language arts and literature is for. And I'm not going to do a whole review on this curriculum now. I'll do that later. But there are some pros and cons to it. It's definitely comprehensive though, and it covers spelling, grammar, reading, writing. It even does art appreciation in there. So, and it is very visually appealing. It definitely has that going for it. So it's very comprehensive, and it's definitely, you know, doing what we wanted it to do and filling in those gaps. So that's what it looks like. So this is the reader that goes with that, and it just has all these stories in there. Then in addition, like I said, he has some gaps in his spelling ability because every word is a sight word for him. He didn't really pick up on all of the little basic phonics rules of spelling. So what I decided to do was get All About Spelling, the spelling curriculum. They're the same makers as All About Reading, but we decided we didn't want to do the reading program, but the spelling is what Alex really needed. So we're just starting on level 1. So this level is really, really easy for him. So we are literally like, we're halfway through this one already. So I just ordered level 2. This is the teacher's guide, but it also comes with these letter tiles, magnetic letter tiles where you can spell with the letter tiles, and little flashcards and things like that. So that's been going really well, and I can already see the progress in him in picking up those little rules that we missed along the way before. So that's been excellent. And then just for belt and suspenders, I also got this Scholastic Grammar Workbook, and it's really pretty easy stuff. Like, there's not very much on each page, and I just have him do 1 or 2 pages every couple days. So this is pretty straightforward, and we're just making sure that he is getting all of those grammar concepts that we missed as well. All of these little workbooks that I'm showing you can get on Amazon. So like I said, he's also really struggling with writing. So I got this workbook thinking that it would maybe help him. It's called Silly Sentences Handwriting Book. And so I thought that just getting him to, you know, it's copy work. It's really literally silly sentences. Goodness gracious, get off that gorilla. Don't chew grape gum while ghost hunting. You know, just silly sentences. I thought he would like that. And then you can write your own silly sentence in this spot over here. Turns out he detests it. And I wasn't expecting that. Like, I got it with the point of him, you know, liking writing a little more, but he really doesn't like it very much. So we'll see. I haven't decided if I'm going to keep on keeping on with this one for him, or maybe I'll save it for Teo later or something. I'm not sure. We'll see. But for now, we're sticking with it for now to help with his writing. The only other supplemental thing that I am doing with Alex is this Brain Quest that I got at Costco. Or no, this one I didn't get at Costco. I think I got this from my Buy Nothing group. So it was free. But this is more just filling in the gaps for 2nd grade curriculum stuff that we may have missed last year. It's just for practice, kind of like IXL. So we've got that as well. And then the classes he's taking through our parent partnership. Like I said, he's taking the books literature class. Then he's also taking Spanish and art and a social studies class, which is called Moving West, where they learn about Lewis and Clark and, you know, the westward movement, pioneers, Oregon Trail, that kind of thing. So that's been kind of our main social studies for him for this year. He's also taking science on Wednesdays as well. Don't mind me, I have allergies and my nose is literally looking red right now. Sorry. But anyway, the other thing I was going to mention is that Alex is now started an IEP class. Because he is autistic, he is eligible for an IEP. We are enrolled in our district through our parent partnership program. But even if we were full-time homeschooling, he would be eligible to receive IEP services because he's autistic. So we're doing that as well once a week. at our local elementary school. So that has been really good as well. We just started a couple weeks ago. He's learning social skills and kind of some of the stuff that he does in his therapy as well. But mainly like social interaction kind of skills, because he definitely still very much struggles with understanding back and forth conversation. And while he has very deep emotional empathy, he still struggles with the cognitive empathy and the theory of mind, understanding that what somebody else is experiencing is different than what I'm experiencing. Somebody else has different thoughts than the thoughts that I have, that kind of thing. So he's going to be getting help for that kind of thing through his IEP services. So I'm really excited for him to be doing that as well. Okay. Now let's switch to Sophie. I already gave a little bit of background on Sophie, that we have been struggling a little bit with reading and math. And I have switched both of those curriculums mid-year this year because what we were using was not working. We'll start by talking about math. We had started by using the Good and the Beautiful Level 1 math with her. And that is a spiral-based curriculum where they cover one topic and then they revisit the previous topics, then cover a new topic, and then revisit the previous topics, and just, you know, like that. But I heard somebody in a review describe it as spiraling out of control. Whereas basically meaning that there's just so much that they do on each page, that's all these different skills on each page, and spending very little time mastering each of the new concepts, and it feels like it just moves on so quickly. And that, I know that works for some kids, especially who are probably a little more intuitive with math. That is not the case with Sophie. Like me, I have always struggled with math. I think that she's going to struggle with it a bit as well. And so I have a lot of empathy and patience for her with that, because that was my personal struggle as well. But I needed to find something else, because, I mean, I can show you, we're doing the level K. I already gave away my level 1, but I can just kind of show you what the Good and the Beautiful looks like. And it is, I mean, it's beautiful. That's why, you know, that's what it's known for, is being colorful and engaging. And they have all these little games, and it's, you know, artistic and that kind of thing. And I thought because it was so visually appealing and artistic and that kind of thing, that Sophie would really enjoy that. And she did enjoy that aspect of it, but she just was not retaining the concepts. So I was like, we got to do something else, because it's just not working. So what I ended up landing on after all my research was Math Mammoth. I'll do a review of this as well, and maybe talk a little more about like the other ones I considered and everything. But this one is a lot like Singapore math, but more affordable. This is a very, very affordable curriculum, and it is very comprehensive, which I loved about it. It covers all the Common Core standards. You know, it's not as, you know, pretty and artistic and visually pleasing as the Good and the Beautiful, but we're talking math. It doesn't have to be, you know. We're learning about numbers. I mean, we want to have manipulatives, and we want to have, you know, visual representation of things, which it has, you know, little objects and, like, as you can see, that kind of thing. But it's so much more straightforward. And this is a mastery-based program, which you focus on one topic at a time and get really good at that topic before moving on to the next one. There is some review. They have like an end of chapter review that they do at the end of every chapter, but it's very much mastery based, and it's really practicing and getting good at those basic skills one at a time, which is what Sophie really needs. She might not like it as much as the other one because it's not as fun and pretty and we get to play games kind of thing, although we do get to play games. I will say that. This does come with all these suggestions for online games, games that you can play with cards and dice and dominoes and things like that as well. So it's definitely more simple, but I think simple is good. That is what she needs. So that has been going well. It's not her favorite subject, but we are getting through it, and she is actually learning from it this time. So that is good. And in addition, because it is a struggle area for her, I thought I would make it really fun for both her and me and get wild math, first grade curriculum. Now, I saw some reviews on this and I was like, oh my God, I have to get this for Sophie. This is a nature-based math curriculum where it is literally taking all of the Common Core standards and taking them outside in nature and using natural materials. Like if it's raining, you can do a lot of this stuff inside with materials inside as well, but it is very kinesthetic, hands-on, in nature. And I love this, you guys. Like you can use this as a whole curriculum if you want to, but I really wanted to use the Math Mammoth to just really get her solid on math because it's important. But this makes an incredible supplement for us. So, you know, it uses imagination. They're like, imagine that you're a squirrel and you have to go collect this many nuts or pine cones or something by counting by 2s or 5s or 10s, or making little rock cairns where you're counting by 2s or 5s or 10s. You know, using sidewalk chalk and making little trains out of rocks. You know, making imprints in the snow or in the sand. Bundling sticks using rocks. You know, there's just so much. Look, they're doing fact families there, using hula hoops outside in the grass. There's just so much really great stuff here. They have like yard dice. We've already used the yard dice in ours. And they have like books that you can read to make it more engaging and fun. And they have like measurement with popsicle sticks and using sidewalk chalk and like building things with magnet tiles, and like it's amazing. I really, really like wild math. It's so much fun. I kind of wish we could make it our main curriculum, but I don't trust that it will solidify these math concepts in her brain as much as they need to be. So that's why I really think it makes a better supplement than a main curriculum, although, you know, you could use it as a main curriculum too. Language arts. Like I said, she has been struggling with reading. We were using the Learning Dynamics 4 Weeks to Read. She was doing okay with it in the beginning of it. She was picking up some of the basic phonetic rules, things like that. But then once it got to the next level, it got really hard all of a sudden without much explanation. It only gave one phonics and grammar rule, which was when 2 vowels go walking, the first one does the talking, which is a useful rule, but that wasn't gelling in her brain. It wasn't clicking. And she was just getting frustrated every time we did reading. It ended up in tears, and I was like, oh no, like we don't want her to end up hating reading. I've got to do something else. Like if she's ending up in tears, I can't do this anymore. So I was like, okay, I am just going to put this curriculum down. We're going to take a little break from reading. We took a little break from reading, and I did a ton of research on curriculums as well, and I ultimately landed on doing the Logic of English. And this is the workbook, student workbook. I am still waiting on the rest of the packet with the flashcards and the teacher's handbook and like the little readers and everything to come. I had bought it used. Long story short, I had bought it used from somebody on Facebook Marketplace, but it literally got lost in the mail and nobody knows where it is. So thankfully the lady was really nice about it and refunded me. So I just decided to pay through the nose for it. It is kind of a pricey curriculum, but very good curriculum. And I'm going to be able to use this for Teo as well. You know, I have to pay once. but I won't have to get another one for Teo because I'll be able to use this for him as well. You know, have justified the cost. I think it is going to be worth it for what a good education this is going to provide. So we haven't started this yet because I'm still waiting on it. So in the meantime, I've just been using the IXL program to continue practicing some basic language arts reading skills through there. And then in addition, I'm also using this Explode the Code series, which is a phonics program as well. And it's, you know, it's not that exciting. It's, you know, literally just practicing very basic phonics, but you know, it seems easy to the kids, but they are still learning and practicing and, you know, cementing the things in their brain. So this has actually been going really well with Sophie. We just started on level 1. There are 4 levels, and so we'll just work our way through the 4 levels alongside Logic of English. I also saw this one on someone's review. In addition to the Explode the Code, there's this reading pathways, and it's literally these little pyramids of reading where it's like Ken has a deck, Ken has a back deck, Ken has a big back deck, and you can see it just get, you know, each sentence gets a little longer until you get to the final sentence at the bottom, but it's building on itself, and it helps build reading confidence. And so I just align this with what we are doing in Explode the Code, and that has been actually going really well. Sophie actually does a good job with this one, so that's helping build her confidence, which has been good. At the beginning of the school year, like last August, I got this packet of highlight stuff at Costco. It was like 10 workbooks or something like that, like one on all these different subjects. And so I've just been kind of throwing these in here and there as supplement. And this one is phonics and spelling, and she likes this one as well. So it's really nice to have these fun workbooks that she likes, and I feel like is good for confidence building with her reading and language skills. So this one's been really good as well. And finally, for language arts, I also got this at Costco. It's called The Complete Book of Sight Words, and it is a huge, big, fat book. And Sophie likes this one as well. I'm thrilled. But it's basically just a word per couple of pages, and then all these little fun little activities. Sophie likes the activities. And they really are helping her learn these sight words. So while Logic of English is very logical, and it explains literally the logic of English and the phonographs and the sounds that each phonograph makes, and breaking it down that way, I am a strong believer that you need both phonics and sight words together, because ultimately once you learn the phonics, everything does become a sight word. That's how we all read once we become fluent readers, is we don't have to sound out and decode the words every time we read. It becomes a sight word. So starting that process is important too. So this actually has been helping her as well. So this has been good. And then for handwriting, there's also another highlights handwriting practice in here. So we do that one, and we were a little concerned that maybe she was dyslexic. We still don't know for sure, but she was mixing up her letters in terms of which direction the letters go. And so I decided to get Handwriting Without Tears. You've probably heard of it before. Excellent program. Very simple, but it has all these little rules, like lowercase a's and g's and q's and d's are what you call like a magic C letter, where you start by making a C and then you go up and make your little line, that kind of thing. That's really helped her in remembering how to form her letters correctly. So that's been really good. We're almost through the kindergarten one, and then we'll move on to the first grade one after that. The Silly Sentences handwriting workbook was a dud for Alex. It has become Sophie's absolute favorite language arts thing, which is so funny. My kids are so different. She actually likes the physical act of writing. She doesn't mind doing that. If she's copying something, she doesn't have to figure out how to spell things or things like that. So she's been doing really well with that. And she loves making up her own silly sentences. She thinks that's amazing and hilarious, and she cracks herself up. It's quite funny. So, like for example, bees make belly buttons talk. These are sentences that a 6-year-old made up. But, you know, it gets her writing, and I will write it and she will copy it, kind of thing. Cats drive cars. So it's just really cute. She gets to draw a picture. She's a little artist. She likes doing art. So you just never know. This one was great for Sophie. Wasn't so much for Alex. So then just final practice that we do with Sophie is this Brain Quest. Same one that Alex has, but it's for first grade. So it's just lots of practicing all of the skills that we are, you know, reinforcing all the skills that we're learning everywhere else. So we just throw this in here and there as well. So that's all of the individual subjects that she is doing. The classes that she's taking in our parent partnership are Spanish, art, which she loves art. And she's taking one that's like a little kindergarten first grade class where they literally do like all the kindergarten things in a classroom setting, which is amazing that they get that like standard classroom experience in there as well. So, you know, they make macaroni necklaces and they have a sensory bin and they do arts and crafts and they read stories and all of that kind of thing, and it's wonderful. And Teo also tags along in that, which I'll mention it later as well when I talk about him. And she is also taking science. Both her and Alex are taking science together. And then she is also taking a books class, which she loves, which even though she's struggling with reading, she loves literature. When we read to her, she adores it. She's the one that wants to snuggle up with me with a book and just read all afternoon, like have me read to her. So that gives me hope that once it clicks for her, I think she's really gonna like reading. So we just have to get over this hump of her struggling to learn how to read because I think that she likes books, she likes stories, but we just gotta get there. But it's a good dangling carrot motivation for her. Oh, I forgot, there are a couple things. Critical thinking. This is a skill that is highly lacking in our society these days. I'll just say that. So I am making it a point that we are having critical thinking be a subject in our homeschool. So both Sophie and Alex do this together on Fridays, and we kind of do it all together as a group thing. And that's been going really well. It just has these, you know, little things that make you think and reason and use logic, and how to come to conclusions. Correlation does not equal causation, like things like that. So that's been good. Oh, I also forgot to mention this in her math stuff that we're covering, but I'm also doing one of the highlights, math concepts, with her. She likes this one. This one is fun games and more like spatial reasoning and that kind of thing, which is a kind of math that Sophie is much better at. She's very spatial. So that's been good for her. And then I got this one. I actually really like this one. I got it on Amazon, Time and Money. I guess it's by Thinking Kids. And this has been great because it really breaks down how to tell time and how to recognize and count money. So it starts very basic and then it works its way up, and we just started telling time to the half an hour. So in terms of telling time and learning basic money, this has been a really good workbook. Okay, let's move on to Teo, and then I will talk about our family subjects. So with Teo, like I already said, he's 4.5 and he is starting to learn kindergarten level reading and math. So you know, what I was doing with him for the first half of the year, which he basically got through in the first half of the year. This is the last one. These are the highlights workbooks that are just like the ones that I use for Sophie, but they're for preschool pre-K. So he got through all of these, like all 10 of them, or whatever, 8, 10 of them, however many there were in the first half of the year. This is the last one that he's on, and he only has a couple pages of it left. And then he's done with that. I'm also having him do the pre-K IXL for reading and math as well, and he is more than halfway through those skills as well, and then I'll just move him on to the kindergarten on IXL as well. But in terms of actual curriculum, since he finished all of these, I decided to actually start an actual curriculum with him. So I decided to just go with the good and the beautiful, because there isn't, at least for math, with the Math Mammoth, they don't start until first grade. So they don't have a kindergarten level. So I was like, okay, I'll just go with the good and the beautiful with math and see if it works for him. It didn't work for Sophie, but let's see if it works for him. And it has. So like I showed you, I did kind of a flip through this one before, just the Math K. This has been working for Teo. He does like the colorful, playful aspect of it. And this seems to work with his brain better than with Sophie's brain. So we'll just stick with this through the end of kindergarten, and at least until he finishes this curriculum, and then we'll move on to the Math Mammoth first grade with him. So that's going well. And for language arts for him, I am doing the Good and the Beautiful Level K primer with him, and this is going quite well as well. I mean, it's like he almost is bored with this. Like he mastered the letters a long time ago and started basic reading. Like he can decode basic words now, and so even this is just kind of review for him. Like it does go into some new stuff, like learning the vowels. That's a new thing for him, so that's good. There is some new stuff for him in here, and practicing writing his letters, which he still needs practice with as well. So this will be good, just as a foundation for reading for him. And then once we get through this, then I'm going to move him into the logic of English, just like I'm going to be doing with Sophie, because I think it'll be a great, you know, comprehensive reading program for him to do as well. So I'm also having him do the Good and the Beautiful Level K handwriting, and that's going fine as well. It's just tracing letters and coloring pictures. That's all it is. So, and then he also, on our tablet, I have our tablet here, but he goes on there and he does IXL on here, and he also does Homer. I signed up for a year's subscription to Homer, and that's been really worth it. It's all like really fun interactive computer games that Teo loves. He's like, can I play Homer? Can I play Homer? He wants to play Homer all the time. Can I play Homer on the tablet? So that's wonderful. He's like motivated by it. He enjoys it. So Sophie actually really likes playing on it as well. So, which is, you know, helping build some of her reading confidence as well. Okay. Now that we are done talking about all three kids, I just wanted to briefly touch on what we are doing as group subjects. We don't want to do like any hardcore schoolwork on the weekends. The only thing I have my kids do is like read silently for 15 minutes on a Saturday kind of thing. I try to read out loud to them just for fun about whatever books from the library that we got. I am teaching them very basic piano as well, that we do that on Saturdays or Sundays, depending on which day we have time. And we do just like a group little Bible reading out of our kids' Bible on Sunday, and literally takes like 10 minutes. So for the most part, the weekends they're free days. That's when they really go out. They get to be kids, they get to play, they have all the free time they want. So, and I really want to keep it that way. Like the weekends are our sacred time, and that's like when I get everything done that I don't get done because I'm homeschooling all week. But I have decided that Because of Alex's struggle with writing, next year I'm probably not going to have him do the literature class and the social studies class through our parent partnership because he's struggling with the writing aspect of it so much. So I think I'm going to bring those home and we're going to do those subjects at home. We are actually starting a unit now on history, and that's how we have decided we're going to cover history, and this is going to be for the next several years. Literally starting at the Big Bang, when it all started, where God fits into all of that. For us, you know, we are Christian, but we are also very scientific people, and we think that faith and science are very complementary to each other. It doesn't have to be this weird false dichotomy that, you know, people on either side tend to think it is. Like, you can very much use science as a way to better understand God. That, like, science is almost the blueprint of God's creation, you know, and perhaps the Big Bang was the moment of creation. So we actually started that this week. We talked about the Big Bang. That was our first lesson, and the solar system and that kind of thing, which Alex needs no help learning about that kind of thing. If you look a couple videos back, I put up a video of Alex telling everything he knows about from the Big Bang until now. So if you want to see that, go check it out. I'll link it in the cards here too. But it was a good conversation that we had, and just talking about all of those philosophical, spiritual questions as well. It was a good, beautiful conversation. And then we're going to be getting into the history of the Earth and the history of life. So we are going to do an evolution unit. So I am so excited about this. I found this on, it was actually a gal who was on YouTube who was talking about this unit that she created. And it is on Teachers Pay Teachers. So if you want to find it, it's the Evolution Journey of Life. And so I got the teacher manual, and then it was just a PDF file that I printed. And then I got the notebook for one for each of the kids, even for Teo, because, you know, he can draw, he can color, he can do some of the things in there. But it's literally just a workbook of all the things. It's based on these two books, so Amazing Evolution, The Journey of Life, and When the Whales Walked. So the whole unit is based on those two books, and they're beautiful books. They have beautiful illustrations on the inside and everything. I can do just a quick little flip through of that, but it just talks about traits and adaptations and how they change over time, and in a very age-appropriate kind of way. So that's a really beautiful book, and I love that it's literature based like that, that we're basing it on a book. A couple of books, actually. There's some other supplemental books and videos and stuff we'll be using as well. So at this point, I'm thinking of just kind of adding that in when we have time, like when we have a day off from doing our parent partnership, and we have a little extra time that we don't usually have. I might throw that in, and then come summertime, then we'll really focus on working through the rest of that unit. And then in terms of my trajectory for our history, we're literally just going to go, you know, we start at the beginning of time and working our way through the present Earth history. So after doing the evolution unit, we'll be doing a prehistory unit where we'll be talking about fossils and paleontology and dinosaurs and early humans, that kind of thing. And that's going to be a really interesting one as well. And then once I finish that, I think the curriculum that I'm really leaning towards using for world history is Curiosity Chronicles, and I'm pretty excited about that curriculum as well. It seems like it is very internationally and diversity minded, which I really like, where they talk about, you know, not just the Eurocentric, whitewashed history that many of us learned in school. but talking about, you know, all the different parts of the world and what was going on in all the different parts of the world, what was happening with, you know, different groups of people within the different countries, and the role of women, the role of minorities, those kinds of perspectives, which is really important to me in a social studies curriculum. So I'm really excited about that. And then when we talk about US history, in a similar vein, I want to use Blossom and Root's River of Voices, which talks about US history from diverse perspectives, not just the white history, but it, you know, talking about from the Native American perspective, from the African American slave perspective, from, you know, all the other people that were there as well, and what was going on with all those people when the Europeans came, what that looked like, and that kind of thing. So that's what we'll be probably using for US history. Haven't figured out what we're going to do for state history yet, but we still have some time for me to figure that out. So that's my plan. That's my plan, and I'm sticking to it for now. But you never know, plans can change. So that is everything. This was another long video. As you guys know, I'm long-winded, and that's kind of what you get on this channel, is you get long-winded videos because I have lots to say about these things and lots of thoughts. So if you guys like that kind of video, then definitely consider sticking around and liking and subscribing, and hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye!